NSCC Waterfront campus in Dartmouth. This is Waterfront TV. Tonight,
some people are frustrated with cabs who refuse to take their service dogs.
Until they get the message, it's going to continue. And it has to be enforced. They cannot deny access.
And a haircut for cancer. One boy honors his grandmother.
Anyone his age, thinking beyond himself and the impact that he can have on his community is just remarkable.
and here are your hosts, Emily Dalrymple and Candace Sellers.
Hello and welcome to Waterfront TV. I'm Candace Sellers.
And I'm Emily Dalrymple. We have a fantastic show for you this evening.
First up, we have Katie Lonis on the news desk. Katie?
Thanks, guys. Some people with visual impairments are upset that certain drivers won't pick them up with their service dogs, even though it's the law. Now a small group of accessibility committee members are hoping to take on drivers who break the rules. Candace Sellers has the story.
Brenda Anderson lost 95% of her sight due to a brain tumor. She knows what it's like to be refused taxi service.
She had to send me 3 cabs in order for me to get home, simply because the first 2 cabs absolutely refused to carry my dog.
Anderson says she even told the dispatcher in advance that she has a service dog. The problem is, in order to report a driver who refuses service, you need to record the roof light number on the car, something that can be impossible for those with vision impairments.
I am not able to get a roof light number. Fortunate for me, my 11-year-old daughter was with me, and when I asked her to immediately get the number, she was able to get the number and I was able to retain it.
Forcing people with vision problems to get that roof number is what the Accessibility Committee wants to change.
For a visually impaired person, that doesn't make sense. So what are the other steps that can be taken?
Craig says they have a few ideas that can be explored.
If the taxi companies know that within the vicinity there might have been 5, perhaps 5 taxi drivers could be entered into a discussion with about the need to accommodate people with seeing eye dogs.
Legally, there are only 4 places off limits to service dogs: the zoo, a restaurant kitchen, the ICU, and a hospital operation room. With these exceptions, the dog can go where the owner goes. Brenda Anderson says despite those rules, people with service dogs are being refused more than just taxis.
We're questioned and can be denied access to restaurants, schools, wherever the public goes, we go, because we are public, and we can be denied access.
But she says she thinks the committee is moving in the right direction.
Craig says the new group will meet for the first time later this week to plan the next step. We contacted several cab companies and they all say drivers receive training about the laws concerning service dogs. They say anyone who is refused service because of their dog should contact them immediately to report it. Chris Faulkner's father took the stand at his murder trial today. Scott Faulkner is the only witness for the defense. He says he told his son not to admit to doing something he didn't do in a phone conversation from jail. But the Crown says Chris Faulkner never denied killing Amber Kerwin during that conversation. Faulkner has pleaded not guilty in the teen's death. Closing statements are expected tomorrow. School officials and members of the public gathered at Dartmouth High earlier this week to voice concerns about the province's school review process. This was the 8th meeting held this month. The review process is what school board officials use when deciding whether to close a school, a heated issue in the communities. Former school board member Chris Poole says everyone needs to come together to make this process successful.
All our levels of government need to start talking to each other. We need to start finding out, what's happening in the communities.
The government and school board officials are hoping this process will improve planning and decision-making when closing or renovating schools. They'll be taking comments and releasing recommendations in February. Several universities in HRM have created a new group for students with autism. Dalhousie, NASCAD, and King's College have started a combined support group for those with autism spectrum disorder and Asperger's syndrome. The group is still in the beginning stages. Organizers hope it will help students connect socially. Dr. Shannon Johnson is a professor at Dalhousie and the group's leader.
A lot of what we see is a focus on younger kids, which is wonderful and really important, but there's been a real sort of recognition that we need to support people on the autism spectrum throughout their lifespan. And
Johnson says she doesn't know how many students the group will get, but she plans to expand it to more schools in the coming years. Metro Transit buses are being used for more than transportation right now. Ads on the bus are taking a controversial issue. Waterfront TV's Emily Dalrymple has that story.
After these pro-life ads started appearing on Metro Transit buses and shelters around the city in early January, Halifax's South House decided HRM residents needed to hear from the other side.
We wanted to offer an alternative to these anti-choice ads, and we just were really upset to see that they were out and about shaming people on their way to work.
South House is a sexual and gender resource center in Halifax. They've started a campaign on GoFundMe.com asking the public to help them raise $4,000. Ashburn says the money would allow the group to place an equal number of pro-choice ads on buses. Metro Transit spokesperson Janet Bryson says they won't be taking a side in the debate. A 2009 court decision means HRM can't decide which ads go on buses.
If an ad met the Canadian Code of Advertising standards, that transit agencies couldn't deny that ad from being posted.
In order for an ad to be deemed appropriate by the code, it must pass 14 different provisions. This is to ensure the ad is fair, truthful, and accurate. Stephanie Potter represents Signs for Life, the organization that put up the pro-life messages. She says the group is happy about the discussion the signs have started.
The ad was as much about, putting out a debate as it was about giving out resources.
It's a debate that can get heated, and that's what Jude Ashburn says this crowdfunding campaign can tap into.
We think that the power of asking your community to come forward on this and really have somewhere to funnel your rage about things like this is really important.
Since starting the crowdfunding campaign last week, South House has raised almost $2,000, which is half their goal. Members of Signs for Life say they're also planning another ad campaign in the near future. The Canadian Union of Postal Workers are inviting the public to talk about a new role for their postal service. This Saturday, Cup W members and employees from across Canada will be discussing the possibility of postal banking. This would mean banking through Canada Post locations to make it more accessible to people in rural areas that don't have any other options. Jeff Callahan is the national director for the union's Atlantic region. He says the recently announced cutbacks aren't what Canada Post should be focusing on.
Is very hard. And this could be, we think would be a fantastic opportunity for Canada Post to generate revenues and provide a greater service to Canadians through the postal bank.
The strategy session will be held Saturday at 7 p.m. at the Dartmouth Holiday Inn. The crosswalks in HRM may be getting a facelift. With 10 car pedestrian accidents in the last month, the Crosswalk Safety Advisory Committee has agreed to paint zebra lines on marked crosswalks. They would go from looking like this to this. HRM Councillor Barry Dalrymple says most of the lines have almost disappeared from wear and tear over the years.
Zebra markings are large, they're wider, they just are so much more visible.
Mm-hmm. The lines would cost HRM $155,000 and will be part of the upcoming budget. Dalrymple is also asking for harsher penalties for drivers who hit pedestrians. Are multi-million-dollar developments the key to a healthy city? One expert says no. He says there should be many small improvements chosen by communities. Sean Gillis has more on this. Sean?
Thanks, Katie. Well, what if there was an abandoned lot in your neighborhood that you wanted to see clean up? How would you take care of that? Well, what if every neighborhood was to make small improvements like that? That's what a former public planner from Seattle wants. That's what a former public planner from Seattle wants residents of HRM to think about.
Put your feet. Go where your passion is.
Jim Dyers has a captive audience. As a public planner, his work with neighborhood groups to accomplish small goals has turned Seattle into a city of neighborhoods.
The city's excuse was, look, if we did that project for your neighborhood, we'd have to do it for all the neighborhoods. We'd set a precedent. We can't afford to do it for all the neighborhoods, so we're going to do it for anybody.
But he says allowing neighborhoods to choose projects creates a stronger sense of community. From fake storefronts to entice business to come back to Main Street, community gardens on the top of parking garages, or even installing a troll under a bridge, Dyers says the possibilities are endless.
You know, we first year we had one group in one neighborhood, low-income neighborhood, that asked for $100,000 from the matching funds so they could develop a soccer field. And that was a really cool project. Same neighborhood, one group asked for $100 so they could put up a bulletin board on the side of the grocery store just to advertise jobs for youth, their community meetings. So there's really no project that's too small.
Susanna Fullers is the co-chair of Imagine Bloomfield, the organization that rallied to stop the closure of the Bloomfield Community Center in the North End. Her work has her on the front line of community development. Their continued hands-on efforts has kept that center a big part of the community.
Change takes decades, and that's fine, but you also have to just keep doing it, and when you think you don't have permission for things that are pretty basic like community gardens or greenhouses or community film screens, you just sometimes need to do it.
For Halifax Downtown Councillor Way Mason, this movement is something that he could see working in his district.
I'd like to see, citizens in neighborhoods take control of those parks and start putting in playgrounds and, chess tables and table tennis and all that stuff and more community gardens. I think there's a lot of opportunity to do that kind of thing.
As for getting communities and neighborhoods to buy in, Dyer says the best projects are those that start naturally.
I think the more you try to push people to do something, you say, I got a great idea, I want you to do this, the more they pull back because it's your idea. So the key is to have community ownership. So I always find you want to go where the opportunity is, where people are really excited and want to do something.
So there are more than 200 distinct neighborhoods in HRM, and Jim Dyer says some small improvements in each will go a long way. Katie?
Thanks, Sean. Well, that's it for the news. Back to you, Candace and Emily.
Thank you, Katie.
Coming up, many students in the schools in the Dartmouth North area are struggling to graduate. After the break, Waterfront TV's Arda Rexepi sits down with two women who are trying to get help for failing students. And it will be open tonight until 8:30. A recent report shows students in the Dartmouth North area have a dropout rate as high as 40%, something parents and community members say is unacceptable. Arda Rexepi now with our feature interview.
Thank you. Joining me today to discuss education in Dartmouth North Schools is Elena Lowe and Rosanna Cleveland, members of the Take Action Society. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Elena, you've been pushing for change in Dartmouth North Schools for years now. Can you tell me some of the issues that are happening in Dartmouth North Schools?
Well, the community has always commented on the challenges that the kids, their children have had in the schools. And so I conducted some research and found that the learning outcomes of the children in Dartmouth North is significantly below the average of the rest of HRM.
And Rosanna, what is the Take Action Society?
The Take Action Society, it's a nonprofit organization located in Dartmouth North. We've been located there since 2009, and now we started off with 10 kids. We have about 75 members now. Our mission is to bring the community together to make positive change in our community. We have 2 group meetings a week, and we also do a lot of events and projects and things in the community.
And Elena, what have you heard from the school board regarding the low performance rates in Dartmouth North as well as the dropout rates?
It's been a challenge to get the attention of those who lead in the education field. So recently we've had commitments made to us to meet with us as parents and community members and other organizations within the community to start talking about the issues. They've admitted that there is a concern, there is a problem, but as of yet, we have not started to talk about what action plans to take.
You've said before that you want the school board to reconsider Dartmouth North as a reconstruction zone. Can you talk a little bit more what you mean by a reconstruction zone?
School is not working for the children in that community, and it is impacting the whole entire community. A reconstruction zone is my way of saying tear it apart and start. Make some bold changes. Radical change has to go into place. It has to be made in order to engage the children in their learning, engage the community, and get action at the foundation level, and that's beginning with the school-age children, starting at.
We need to really start thinking outside the box when it comes to Dartmouth North, and not treat every school in HRM the exact same way. There's different, issues that take place at different schools, so that each school should be looked at individually instead of one huge thing. Just like every child's not the same, so you can't go. You have a book that tells you how to raise your child. It's not going to tell you how to raise every child. So,
what is the root cause of this problem, do you think?
There's long been a connection made, a direct link between poverty and education outcomes. If you live in a community that struggles with the basic necessities of life, where parents are focused on getting enough food, having shelter, and stretching the dollar that they often don't have, children do not do well in school. That is known, but that's not an excuse. It just means that we have to tackle it in a different way. We need supports, and I believe we do have supports in place to help with the socioeconomic factors that are contributing to our children not succeeding. But it has to go into the school, and we have to change the way we're teaching our children. We've got to make it so that they want to run to school and learn and grow and develop, so that they have dreams for their future.
That's right.
Now, Rosanna, this hits home for you because you have children that go to school at Dartmouth North. Are other parents concerned as much as you are?
We're horrified to the fact that our kids may not succeed just because of the school and the community that they live in. A lot of us are not well educated ourselves, so we understand the struggles that we have to go through every day, and we don't want our kids to go through the same struggles that we have. We just believe that because we don't think that they should be any different because where they were born or where they live. They should have the same opportunities as all the other kids in HRM.
What's at stake here if nothing gets resolved with the school board and
well, it's going to be the same. I think it still will be the same vicious circle that Dartmouth North seems to be in now, and that's the low poverty, people on social services, things like that. I mean, if we don't have a good education, which is the foundation of everybody's life, then how are they going to succeed any other? Like you look at the foundation of a house. The foundation of a house needs to be pretty concrete and sturdy. If that's not sturdy, then every other level you try to put on that, you got to be trying to fix it. You're going to have problems with that. So. The education at the elementary level is the foundation to their education years, so they really need some help so they can get on further in school.
And Elena, when do you plan to meet with the school board to discuss the issues that are happening in Dartmouth North?
We're hoping to meet in the next 2 weeks. And on top of that, we're hoping to meet with other organizations that have programs. We want to present to them some solutions or opportunities to provide our kids with learning.
Thank you very much. That's all the questions that I have for today. Thank you for joining me today, and hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And coming up.
Why wouldn't you want to go to a cocktail party in your underwear, and get away with it?
No pants, no problem. We'll tell you about a unique fundraising event.
And we take a look at the 6th annual Pod Camp Halifax at the Alderney Gate Library.
It looks like the weekend will start off cold but should warm up on Sunday. Friday will be mainly sunny with a low of -13 and a high of -9. Saturday will see periods of rain, still cold with a low of -15 and a high of +3. Sunday temperatures will stay steady around the freezing mark and will be mainly cloudy. Now here's a look at the rest of your 5-day forecast.
We've all heard the phrase, take off your coat and stay a while. But what about your pants? A new fundraiser in Halifax asks you to do just that. Waterfront TV's Carl Clark has more.
Why wouldn't you want to go to a cocktail party in your underwear, and get away with it?
This is the launch for an event called Pants Off for Prostate. The event hasn't even happened yet, but it's getting a lot of buzz. And that's why people like Robert Isbister says events like these are so important. He's a prostate cancer survivor.
It's awareness and of course fundraising, and the more people that are aware of it, the better. And prostate cancer and breast cancer are the two highest common cancers. So.
In Canada, over 65 men a day are diagnosed with prostate cancer. But with early detection, the disease is treatable. Peter Millette is the Atlantic Director of Prostate Cancer Canada.
Way too many men needlessly die from prostate cancer every year because it is a treatable and it is a very survivable disease if it is caught early. The problem is, guys leave it way too late to be tested.
Robert Isbister knows all about the benefits of early testing.
My doctor, thankfully, started my PSA testing at age 40, where every man should have it started at. And at age 54, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer.
The event is February 22nd at the World Trade Center. The night will include food, drink, and dancing, all while in your underwear. Carl Clark, Waterfront TV, Halifax.
People in the HRM surrounded themselves with technology over the weekend. There were sessions on social media, blogging, and much more, all to better understand what we use every day. Waterfront TV's Neil Benedict has more.
Today filled with open presentations and discussions aimed to share knowledge on social media, blogging, web design, and everything in between. Craig Moore is the manager of Spider Video, a video production company in HRM. He's also a founder of PodCamp Halifax.
It's been around the world for quite a number of years, and each place has their own chapters. It's very similar to what would be like TED and TEDx events and things like that.
There were 28 different sessions, with some topics geared towards social media, like pruning your Twitter garden, and don't feed the trolls. Others helped to be marketers on the internet. Finlay Hilchey is one of the presenters. His session was about reaching out to customers and raise loyalty in your company.
You gain all of the knowledge without having to do nearly as much of the work. So that's the kind of community enrichment that you want to see. It's a give and take. You want to bring information and also give information.
Cindy Campbell-Stone is a librarian. She helps teen bloggers at the Spring Garden Library. She says PodCamp helped her better understand how teens use social media.
Well, Tumblr is one that they're getting away from Facebook, and they certainly, that's been going on for a couple of years now, whereas they're using Tumblr a lot more. And, pictures and videos, photos and videos, they like to share those kinds of things.
This will probably be the last year for PodCamp in Dartmouth. More plans to relocate PodCamp to Halifax next year.
Next year, the new Central Library is opening in Halifax, and the goal is to, when they launch the new building, that will be in there for next year instead.
Neil Benedict, Waterfront TV, Dartmouth.
That does sound like a fun event. And with more events and entertainment listings, here's Katie Gordon with this week's edition of Waterfront Entertainment. Katie?
Thanks, guys. What happens when you throw an award-winning DJ into a band with a drummer and a synth player? You get one of Canada's most exciting electronic music acts, Keys and Crates. They're bringing a unique mix of hip-hop and bass music to Dalhousie University's campus bar, the Greywood. If you're looking to dance this Friday night, this is a show for you. Tickets are still available at the Dal Student Union Building. Halifax is making sure good music is in full supply this month with the In the Dead of Winter Festival. It's an annual acoustic festival happening this weekend. This year we'll see performances by many great Canadian artists. For the event schedule, visit inthedeadofwinter.com. A surefire way to beat those winter blues. In movies, the producers of the Underworld franchise are upgrading Mary Shelley's classic literary monster for today's audiences. I, Frankenstein stars Aaron Eckhart as Adam, a superhuman caught between warring clans of gargoyles and demons. Like the Underworld series, the movie has been adapted from a graphic novel by Kevin Grievous. I, Frankenstein opens Friday. And that's it for Waterfront Entertainment. I'm Katie Gordon. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Katie. It took him more than a year, but one boy in Bedford finally got to honor his grandmother in a very special way. Waterfront TV's Ella Cook has the story. Are you excited?
This is Eason O'Neill, and today he's making a difference with his hair.
I've been growing it for the past year and a half to remember my grandmother who passed away because of ovarian cancer.
Eason's grandmother died 11 years ago, so the 9-year-old never got to meet her. Over 2,600 Canadian women get diagnosed with ovarian cancer every year, and the survival rate is 90% when detected early and treated. But unfortunately for Eason's grandmother, it wasn't. Today would have been her 74th birthday, so he's celebrating it by donating his hair to help make a wig for someone else who is suffering from ovarian cancer. He's also raised over $2,000.
To be so committed for a year and a half to raise money for ovarian cancer in memory of his grandmother is just very unusual and rare.
Allison McQueen, the Director of Community Engagement for the Ovarian Cancer Society, also came to see Eason get his hair cut and raise awareness about ovarian cancer.
I came here to represent Ovarian Cancer Canada and also to show our support to Kothe and Easton, and to just provide some information about the disease and our organization.
She says she's touched by Eason's generosity.
Easton's a remarkable young man. Today is the first day I've had the pleasure of meeting him in person, but I just think anyone his age thinking beyond himself and the impact that he can have on his community is just remarkable.
And for Eason's mom, saying she's proud of her son is just scratching the surface.
I think it's just kind of sinking in, especially now that I see his hair short, what an incredible thing that he has chosen to do as a young boy. So yeah, I'm a pretty proud mom.
But Eason hopes to continue to make a difference and honor his grandmother even more by raising more money and doing anything he can in the fight against ovarian cancer.
Oh, what a wonderful way to honor his grandmother.
It really is.
Well, that's all we have for you this week. If you'd like to see the show again, you can head over to waterfronttv.wordpress.com.
You can also like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at WTV_NSCC.
For Waterfront TV, I'm Candace Sellers.
And I'm Emily Dalrymple. Good night.
Good night.